Okay, so this is part 2, and basically we were right here where we're figuring out the best definition for energy. And it just says that if it can make energy, it can fight. So when we're talking about making energy and fighting, it's not just the ingredients, but what comes from that. So we went with D, power that comes from heat. So moving on to this part. In the chart below, only 2 sentences are actually the main ideas. Identify them and copy them in the rows. So identify them and copy them in the rows. So main idea 1 will go here. Main idea 2 will go here. So in order to do main idea 1, the very first thing that I need to establish is which main idea do I want to go here and which main idea do I want to go here. So looking at the main ideas they gave me, I crossed out everything that didn't say supernova because the main idea of everything we just read is what are supernovas and why are they important. So when it's what are supernovas and why are they important, I already know that this is definitely going to be 1 because it has supernova and important in the title. So I can for sure copy that one and bring that one down here. Okay, they make important elements. Okay, that's one of ours. And then we have to decide which is more of a main idea. One is a main idea and one is a key detail. So in 1604, a supernova exploded, or only some stars will become supernovas. Which one is more important to figuring out what a supernova is? You know, we know that they explode. This is just saying it's happened one time. Whereas this, only some will become supernova. That's really important because of the idea of the sun. You want people to understand that not everything is going to explode because not all these stars are going to explode because the sun's not going to explode. So we can put only some stars will become supernovas here. And then these are our supporting details, and we have to figure out which ones match here. We only can choose 2. So basically, anything that doesn't have supernova in it, I will delete if it doesn't have supernova or something about stars. So this has stars. This does not have supernova. Oh, it says heats the star. Explosions produce iron. That's not saying anything about supernova or stars, right? Because it's all about supernova and stars. So I'm going to strike that out. The last time people saw a supernova in our galaxy was 1604. So this is a little tiny detail. Even though it says supernova, it's not about making an important element or about a star becoming a supernova. It's just saying someone saw a supernova. That doesn't help us. Gone. However, every year astronomers see supernova exploding in other galaxies. Okay, so they see that. How does that help us, though? How does that say it's making an important element? That part I wouldn't have. Making an important element. So I'm actually, and you can always do this, I'm going to change my mind about something. I'm going to strike this out, but I'm not going to strike this out because it's saying it makes important elements and then it's talking about iron, which is an important element. So instead of striking it through, I'm going to use it. If you say it makes an important element and iron is an important element, let's put it in. Okay. And explosions themselves produce iron. So now we have 1. The outflow of huge amounts of energy is not talking about how some stars will become supernova. Nuclear reaction creates energy. That's not saying only some will become a supernova. So we're just gonna cross that out. And really, if it says the sun will never explode, it's saying only some stars will become a supernova, right? Because the sun is not becoming a supernova. Alright, and then you got that all filled out. Write a short response. Reread paragraphs 6, 7, and 8. What is the author's main idea in these paragraphs? So when you're rereading, there's one main idea. They can have multiple main ideas. So let's go back to 6, 7, and 8 and use our key details. There's 8, 7, 6. But because a star shines so brightly, it uses up fuel. Soon a star runs out of hydrogen. It expands and cools. So it's talking about stars, but it's talking about massive stars. Massive stars. So what happens to massive stars? Okay, we will definitely use this detail, right, about how it shines and it's bigger and it uses its energy. And because it's saying it uses up hydrogen fuel within millions of years, that is very important too about massive stars. It says because the star, but up here it says, however, a massive star. So we're talking about massive stars. It runs out of hydrogen. They don't make energy, and then it has no fuel left. Okay, that's important. Let's use that. It has no fuel left. So we're kind of like trying to look through the process. We know we're talking about massive stars. They shine and use up hydrogen, and then they make energy, but they have no fuel left after a while. Then they can't hold themselves up, so the star center collapses. Star center collapses. Oops, I didn't mean to strike you out. I meant to underline you. So the star center collapses, and the outer layer shoots into space. So that is what is happening. So it's giving us the process of how a star dies. So underline, and not just any star, but a massive star. A massive star. How massive stars basically die. How a massive star lives and dies. Okay? So now we're going down here, we've got our main idea, and we're saying it's how a massive star lives or dies. The author's main idea in paragraphs 6, 7, and 8 is about how a massive star lives and dies. Right? Okay, so now it says use key details. Okay, so first it states that. You're going to go back up, see what you underlined. This is why it's so important to underline as you're reading so you don't have to do extra work later. The star shines brightly and uses up its hydrogen fuel. The star shines brightly and uses up its hydrogen fuel. The star shines brightly and uses up its hydrogen fuel. Second, it states, so first key detail was that. Second key detail, remember we always have 3 key details. So the second detail, if I scroll back up, I would say the second one is then it has no fuel, right? It's using up all of its fuel, it has no fuel, and last we'll say the center collapses. The star uses up all of its fuel and collapses. Finally, parts, remember how the parts shoot out? Parts of the star shoot out. And it has exploded. So see how we just went through the life and death, right? Author's main idea is about how a massive star lives and dies. So we're like, first it's living because it's shining brightly and using up hydrogen fuel. Then it uses up all of the fuel and collapses, so now it's dying because finally parts of the star shoot out and it has exploded. Then you need your concluding sentence, right, which is restating the main idea. That is why the main idea is about how a massive star lives and dies. Okay, so now you've given a complete short response. I will constantly say this, but make sure you go back and make sure there's at least 4 to 5 sentences. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Learning target. So the whole lessons, you've been doing repeated lessons, it's all about why the main idea is important and key ideas are important. So why is this important in science? So this learning, main ideas and key details are important to understanding science. For example, to understand, and let's use what we're doing right now. So let's use the massive stars. To understand stars, you need to understand how they live and die. There is one main idea about their life cycle and smaller details about that cycle that help to understand the science of stars. Learning the main ideas and details help me to understand science and informational, because I'm going to use, they say, how does it help you understand other informational texts? It helps me to understand science and informational texts more because I can see the information and recognize it when learning about the solar system. So it's like I've learned all about this star and I can take this main idea and key information and then connect it when I'm learning more about the solar system. So that's going to be everything that you need to know about this. This is like our part 2, second half of learning about stars and exploding stars. So that should be everything you need to do for your homework.